All right. Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy New Year to you. Welcome to the Wagers on Campus podcast where we talk college football. And boy, do we have an exciting week ahead of us as we head into round two of the college football playoffs, as well as a plethora of bowl games. We're going to cover all that you need to know to get you ready for some football this week. Appreciate you checking us out. Thank you very much. This is Mayor. I'm here with Burns, CEO and founder of Wagers on Campus, and
Jesus
tease
Christ.
me with the parlay. Burns, as we sit here and record, it is Christmas Eve, the morning of Christmas Eve. How's Illinois treating you, and how are you feeling after Saturday's performance by the Buckeyes?
Yeah, yep. Thank you for that warm introduction. Definitely not disingenuous at all. After a couple weeks ago, I called you out. So nice holiday spirit you brought there. But I'm fucking with. But whoa, what is that?
What are you talking about? I got a mirror.
Oh, just some sort of crunching sound. I didn't know if you were like something was falling down or something.
I don't know. You might need to cut this. I have no idea.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. The snow is melted here. We got here. We arrived to a couple inches of snow. So not a white Christmas. Kind of a dreary, disgusting Christmas. But at least it's a little warmer. Buckeyes somehow pulled off a win in Neyland North, so we're all good. My heart was racing. Such a close game, but no, that was a great early Christmas present. But like the late great Kobe Bryant said, job's not finished.
Yeah, 100%. Job is not finished. You got Oregon on deck, but really great performance by the Buckeyes, dismantling Tennessee. And that's got to make you happy heading into Christmas. Get to enjoy this win. Move on to round two and see where the cards fall. But yeah, we got a lot of football to talk about. Before we do, Burns, in the nature and the spirit of Christmas, favorite Christmas gift of all time. I'll start. When I was 9 years old, all I wanted was a Javon Walker Green Bay Packers jersey in white. I did not want green. I did not want the home jersey. I wanted the road jersey. And this was back at a time where you couldn't just go in NFL shop and just buy whatever you wanted. This was pre those days. So wasn't sure if I was going to find it, or I guess I wasn't sure if Santa could make it for me, I should say. Last present I open up, it is a big box, and I open it up, and it's a chess set, and the board is on the very top of the box. It's like a big wood square box, and if you open up the top, inside is all the chess pieces. So I open up the top, and there it is. Lo and behold, the Javon Walker white jersey. I don't know how my mother or Santa came up with it and found it, but to this day, I still have the jersey. It still fits. If you remember, I wore it on my wife's party bus just a couple months ago. So far and away, that's my favorite Christmas gift and a memory I'll hold near and dear forever.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, how to top such a sentimental gift like that? Mine is just it's the same thing. You don't understand how they can do it, but they parents were very good at hiding, and I just remember as a kid, is that my mic just doing all that weird gargling? Can you hear that gargling?
I can hear it now. I'm not sure if earlier you were hearing my dog's like paws on the wood floor. I would be surprised if that was the case.
No, it's not the case.
Okay. Yeah, I hear something right now. A little bit.
Okay, we're good for now. But no, mine's just thought the last kiss was open. There's a box that appears behind the tree. it's a PlayStation 2. My life's changed forever. And
Yeah.
and Gran Turismo and Crash Bandicoot are in there, and I just raced my little ass off for quite some time. That system molded me. Also, with college football in there, getting every edition on PlayStation 2 up until it switched over. Man, Christmas time just is a different time when you're a youngster. It just it's very cool to make that happen now as adults for the youngsters around.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Nothing tops it when you're a kid. Well, good. Sounds like we had some good gifts, and moving on to what a transition, right? Moving on to the recap of last week. Burns, your lock of the week, never a doubt. Ohio State team total over 27.5 points. An absolute no sweat winner for you. On the week, you went 5-5. You did hit your lock, as I mentioned, with Ohio State. Puts you at 8-6 during bowl season, up a little over 2.5 units. Thoughts on last week's card and bets?
Yeah, dominated the playoff and took a few absolute. The MAC butt fucked me, dude. Two of the worst beats of all time. Ohio getting up to -5. I gave them out -3 on the pod, but by the time I made the graphic, that would have been too egregious to put that on the graphic. So that would have pushed. But yeah, it roared up to -5.5. So I couldn't give out -3. And Ohio was dominating that entire game. And Jacksonville State just backdoors a brutal cover. And then Northern Illinois yesterday, 13-13, end of regulation. Fresno State's kicker misses a 35-yard chip shot. We go to double OT. Of fucking course.
Yeah.
And we lose the under in that game. Yeah, it was brutal. Except, we had 3 units on Ohio State. I also added -7 in my card. So 4 units total in that game. So that was a savior to the weekend. And obviously, as we'll talk about, very favorite heavy, easy, no sweat for all the Joes out there for the playoffs was a little surprising to me, betting wise.
Yeah, me too. I went 2-2. San Jose State tonight, pending up 0.73 units. My lock of Texas -13.5, or I don't even know what I got him at, but it hit. It won by 14. I felt fortunate to come out of last weekend with that as far as my card result. And on Saturday, I actually finished the day, like personally betting. Saturday, I finished up a little bit over a unit. And Friday, I think I was down maybe like a quarter unit. And honestly, man, I'm like kind of wondering how it was only that, it was only that bad. Because, dude, I got wrecked. It felt like with all the games, I was just not seeing the board clearly when it comes to these playoff games. I felt like I was on the wrong side of pretty much every single game. So maybe I'm over exaggerating a bit, but you're right. All the favorites just absolutely hammered the underdogs in this weekend.
Yeah.
So, as far as takeaways go, man, I don't think it'll be like this every single season. Like moving forward, I feel like we will get more competitive games. Not really a hot take there, but this year in particular, all 4 games were bad. Like you're reaching if you're saying Clemson, Texas was a good game. You're right. It was the best game out of the 4, just from a watchability standpoint, but that wasn't even a good game itself. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of this is where I get a little annoyed listening to pundits and everyone so far with the playoff recap. I mean, if you look at the game itself, I mean, first drive, Notre Dame throws a pick. Like Indiana has the ball, they come down. I mean, they throw an interception on the 2. And then you get Notre Dame is not an explosive team. You get a funky, Indiana cornerback comes back and blocks the the angle pursuer and 98-yard touchdown. Indiana doesn't have another explosive, or I'm sorry, Notre Dame doesn't have another explosive play the entire game. I mean, it was just Signetti's terrible play calling, but Indiana's defense showed up besides that 98-yard play. Everything else was pretty even. So I thought that was a better game. SMU, you got 2 pick sixes. You've got 4 red zone attempts netting 3 points. I mean, Jennings doesn't shit down his leg. That game is boom. We're under 1 possession game late into the fourth quarter. I mean, SMU was moving the ball. It's just, they really didn't step up to the occasion. So, but that the time that game played, it was like, everyone was kind of. It didn't feel like a playoff start time. 11 a.m. It felt like the throwaway NFL game that we get on Saturday.
Yeah,
where it's like, somehow a 7-9 team gets in there and
right.
It's like completely lopsided.
Well, I'll stop you there before you continue. I mean, I hear what you're saying just from the standpoint of like, hey, Indiana, they did have their opportunity, like you said. They set the tone early, and then they just gave the ball right back, 98-yard touchdown, and that was kind of all they wrote, especially on offense for the Hoosiers. And then in the other game, you're absolutely right. SMU's defense was giving up nothing to Penn State. Penn State could not do anything offensively. And, you're going to look back at that game and point to the 4th and 1 where Jennings should have kept the ball and ran for a first down. Or if he did decide to throw it, just make a better pass. And, you're looking at a touchdown or throw the ball a little earlier. But that was the play of the game right there. When it goes without saying, dude, I'm not saying anything that people don't already know, but when you get into these big games, you need to take advantage of your opportunities. You can't be just like wasting them because you're going to lose if you do.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And it did help me identify for how I'll probably lean in the next round. I think I was texting the group about this. It may have seemed like overreaction, but I still feel very, very good about it. I think Notre Dame is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think they got a perfect draw. I think this is the first game that the mainstream media has really watched of them this year since the opening weekend of Texas A&M. Riley Leonard completed the ball 23 times for 200 yards. I mean, that's insane. That's such a low clip for 23 completions in college. He feels like, our buddy, recurring guest on the program, Nick, he'll appreciate another shout out, kept calling out when we were all together last Thursday, Bo Nix, he doesn't throw a pass, beyond 5 yards. That feels like what Riley Leonard does. It's just east and west, like bubble and slant. And like if Georgia comes out and stuffs that box, Notre Dame is going to be sounding the alarms very, very quickly. Not to get into that game right away, but just a wolf that I identified in sheep's clothing. And then the other one was, I was very, very shocked how easily Clemson moved the ball in Texas. Very shocked. I thought Texas was, right there with Ohio State on the 2 best defenses coming into this playoff of all the 12 teams. And just to see that ball moving up and down the field for Clemson, man, that was especially at home. And now they have to move to neutral sites here on out. There's a young man who's resting that the nation is going to learn the name of with Cam Scatabo if Texas doesn't figure their shit out in 2 weeks. That could be a very high-scoring, very awesome game to watch. Preview.
Yeah, no doubt. And what'd you make of the Buckeyes against Tennessee?
Yeah, somehow, man, I made it, first of all, to no spoilers. But shout out to Uncle Jeff, who almost spoiled it, and I was just punching the air as we were walking out of dinner. I mean, this is a long fucking dinner, dude. It was everything's like cooked to order, and there's items like beef Wellington on the menu, so it literally says on the menu, once you order your meal, it will take 50 minutes to prepare.
Okay.
So we got there, dinner's at 5. So you guys are like, oh, you should be good. And it's like, no, like we didn't leave till literally halftime. And there ended up being one TV in the bar. And from where we were sitting, Uncle Jeff at the end of the table could see the game. And all the cousins at my side of the table knew my situation. So they were very awesome about it. They were not spoiling it. And I walk out, I turn to the left, and as I'm trying to like shield my eyes, Uncle Jeff just like, yeah, Tennessee just scored 21-14 half. And luckily he didn't see it correctly, because as I was rewatching, I was expecting when it was 21-0, it was like, how the fuck do they give up 2 scores with so little time? So it was 21-10. So at least that was good.
Sure.
But yeah, I just laughed at myself, because all I could think about then going forward was like, oh, how does Ohio State? They're down 21-10 at half. What the fuck? It's back and forth. So it just added the anxiety. Anyway, that's my story of. And then get this, everyone wants to go to a bar next door for one more drink. I'm not kidding you, Mayor. Every single TV in the bar was the game.
Yeah, of course.
Every single TV. And there were 15 TVs in the bar. So we're sitting at a high top. I get a low top chair, and I put in my noise cancellation AirPods, and I put on like some white noise. And I'm just sitting by the cousins with my hat just like this. And I'm like, tell me whenever it's a commercial, I'll look up, and just like nudge me. And I somehow didn't see a peep of the game when we were sitting at the bar.
Oh my God. Bless you, brother. That sounds like Nightmare on Elm Street. I am not kidding. And what's up with Uncle Jeff? Did he not understand the assignment? What the fuck was that?
No, he seriously didn't. It didn't make its way. Like, the table was so long, he didn't get the memo that I wasn't recording the game. That I was recording the game.
Brother, I would have told everyone there, plus the waiter. Like, are you kidding me? You didn't tell everybody?
Yeah, I thought I told enough people. I didn't realize he was going to be paying attention. But
okay.
Let's just say that the way the game. So now we get into the game. The way it opens up, you can't even make a fuss about it. I mean, the guy put his hand up. The face mask. I mean, I just wonder what that game would have been. It would have been a 3-and-out, a sack, like a quick punt after Ohio State has been, on the chopping block. They score 3 plays later on a beautiful. I'll tell you one thing, Will Howard. If that's the Will Howard we get the rest of the playoffs, this Buckeye team is winning the national championship, because he was dropping dimes down the field too. Not even check down Charlie. So, and then I appreciate riding the hot hand. I thought Judkins was going to be the one to have the game. He didn't really have it today. Travion comes out and plays like a fucking maniac with his head cut off. Travion Henderson was unreal on Saturday. And so we'll see if that correlates into Oregon, if they continue to ride the hot hand, which I would prefer. And then that defense, man. Nico, the only offense he had was scrambling. And I didn't even see that as a possibility. But your outsider opinion, was that an interception? And how bullshit was that roughing the passer?
Let's see. The interception, man, because I called it a pick on the field.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, he probably wasn't a pick, because the ball was slightly moving. Like, he secured it once his foot was out of bounds, in my opinion. Like, if I was being super technical about it, I'd probably say it wasn't an interception. But I don't hate them upholding the call that was made on the field, because it was close. As far as the roughing the passer goes, I know you guys were talking about it, and I do remember seeing the play. I was walking my dog, so I actually don't perfectly recall it in my head.
Okay. I mean, I'm really just being facetious because, they won. Who cares? It's over. But the guy was hitting Nico, and they gave him the weight falls on him, roughing the passer. And Ohio State picked the ball off on that play. Drive continues. They get 7 out of it. I don't know. Or they get 3 out of it. Still. The team total over would have hit first half. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
And listen, we could have rested more of our starters. But I will say this. I had the exact point differential on this podcast. If we want to put any sort of credit towards that. Do you remember what my score prediction was?
No.
35-10, 25-point win for Ohio State. 42-17 was the final.
It's impressive.
Just saying.
Yeah, Ohio State absolutely obliterated them. You were 100% right the entire time. Tennessee honestly didn't stand a chance, and had that face mask not been called on the first possession of the game for Ohio State, and they would have been forced to punt. After watching the game, don't think it would have made a difference. Still think Ohio State would have obliterated that team.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Yeah. And basically, the only other big thing that I think we need to highlight is just Signetti. And what the fuck was all of that noise? I mean, he's coming out. First of all, just talking nonsense of when we get top 25 teams, we whoop their asses. False. That's just not true. And then you're punting down 3 scores at your own or at the opponent's 44-yard line. I mean, does this guy need to go back to James Madison and or Group of 5? Is he going to cut it? There was breaking news of something huge that happened for Indiana right before we hopped on the pod, but maybe this guy's just another great recruiter, horrific coach when it comes down to it in play calling.
It's possible. I was very frustrated with Indiana's performance on offense in the first half. I didn't get to watch the second half because I was at a concert. I don't know. In terms of Signetti's, kind of outlandish statements, maybe he's just trying to instill a ton of confidence in his team, where a team like Georgia or Ohio State, they don't need to come out and say those things because they've been there a million times and they're a professional program. I don't know. Maybe when you're the smaller dog trying to, get recognized, you're barking a little bit louder. I don't really know why he was like that.
Yeah, it was surreal. And Saban, that was funny. His comment was like, "Yeah, you didn't get that from me, so I don't know where the hell that came from." And but right before we got on the pod, Fernando Mendoza, stud quarterback from Cal, committed to Indiana. So Curtis Rourke going out, Mendoza coming in. That'll be a nice filler, very similar to Curtis Rourke play style, but with more legs to be able to kind of extend the plays. So that's a good get for them. Really good get out of the portal.
Yeah, that is. Mendoza was a playmaker at Cal. He can, like you said, he can scoot with his legs a bit. How about your bracket before we wrap up last week's college football playoff? Anything change with your bracket at all?
You know what? I still like Ohio State, Georgia in the final. But other than that, it might have been a little, obviously hindsight 2020, a little too greedy, trying to put an upset in there. I think going forward, we're going to get upsets. They're just going to happen. But when people are talking about, we would have better games if we just put the better teams in front. It's well, then the second round's going to be all blowouts. If you got Arizona State playing Indiana, it's well, now Indiana's going to go to Oregon and XYZ. So I think second round is going to be good. I think there's 2 games that are going to be incredible. And I think Texas-Arizona State is going to be much closer than the 14-point spread. So I like the bracket still where it's at. What about you?
Yeah, for the most part, I do as well. I'll probably have Notre Dame beating Georgia in the playoff. I think I had Georgia beating Indiana in the second round. But And then of course, Ohio State, I had them losing to Tennessee, like an absolute dumbass, a stupid fucking pick. So now we get the rematch of Oregon, Ohio State. Boy, what a game. I mean, it was such a game the first time around. Where's that game being played at?
The Rose Bowl.
That's the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, so we kind of get a real Rose Bowl, a Pac-12, Big Ten.
Yeah, we do. Oh, my God. What a game. Wow. Wow, Burns. Wow, what a game. I think I kind of leaned the Buckeyes after what I saw against Tennessee. So, yeah, I would say I got a couple changes.
Yep. Rest first rust is really what it's going to come down to. And, luckily, no one got hurt on Ohio State. Fryer had his leg taped on the O-line, but he finished the game. So, and they should be getting healthier as well, leaving that game. So we'll see.
For sure. All right. Shall we get into the bowl games that are upcoming before diving into the playoff?
Yeah, just a couple, right?
Yeah, just a couple. I think we got about 20 or so, 15 or 20 to quickly peruse. So we'll start with Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Time. We have your Toledo Rockets taking on Pittsburgh. Pitt is a 7-point favorite. Over-under is 49.5. This is ESPN. The GameAbove Sports Bowl played in Detroit, Michigan, so a familiar site for the Rockets, being played at Ford Field. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, listen, we as in Toledo have got too many big names opting out. Maxon Hook, stud, stud, All-American, just like all first team, all MAC defense, back-to-back years, safety, opted out. Darius Alexander, same thing. These are NFL players opting out. He's on the defensive line, but our huge 6'7" tight end, Anthony Torres, that's bailed out our god-awful quarterback on 3rd and long so many times, and Jerjeron Newton, wide receiver, is also opted out. That's way too much talent for Toledo. I would probably lean the under in this game or Pitt's team total over. Don't see Holstein on the transfer portal or opt out. So if he's good to go, they didn't play in the finale, but if they're playing in this bowl game, they should do whatever they want with that kind of less than 100% Toledo defense.
Yeah, that's a good analysis. I would lean Pitt minus the 7. Pitt, obviously, great start to their season. Then they fizzled hard down the stretch, whereas Toledo, high expectations, failed to meet those expectations. Just kind of felt like a disjointed season from them relative to what we're used to seeing. So I would lay the points with Pitt. Moving on to the Rate Bowl in Phoenix, Arizona on the same day at 4:30 p.m. Central. We got Rutgers and Kansas State. Kansas State is laying 7. Over under in this one is 50. Do you have anything here?
Yep, it looks like he made the trip but could be out. Monungai, obviously a Rutgers best player, could opt out for this game, which would be very tough for Rutgers. Kansas State, on the other hand, DJ Giddens opted out. Their star cornerback, Jacob Parrish, opted out. Other than that, I mean, both teams look to have mostly full rosters going. And if that's the case, I mean, Rutgers and Schiano are going to get up for bowl games just the way they're with filling in opt-outs. Teams like Rutgers are going to be okay, just the way they play football, very physical, kind of next man up. They're not a high-flying offense no matter what. But, if Avery Johnson's playing, I just think Kansas State would be too much here.
Yeah, I liked what you were saying earlier about Rutgers getting up for the bowl games. I know they beat Miami last year as an underdog in the Pinstripe Bowl. I agree with you in terms of Schiano having the guys ready to play. Rutgers, they had stretches where they played well and then they got obliterated for a couple games there when they were dealing with some injuries, and then they bounced back strong. They never quit. K-State, I wouldn't say that they quit either, but they're definitely not some perfect team. A loss to Iowa State down the stretch in that crucial game to kind of close the season. I think both of these teams are pretty similar. Maybe I give a slight edge to Kansas State, but I expect Rutgers to hang in the 7. So I would go Rutgers to cover the 7 points.
Yeah.
And then final game on Thursday, we have Arkansas State taking on Bowling Green. Bowling Green is a 7.5 point favorite. Over under is 53. This game's 8 p.m. Central Time, ESPN, the 68 Ventures Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Do you have a play in this one for the MAC team, Bowling Green?
Yeah, 0 for 2 in the MAC. Technically 0 and 3. Fuck. Yeah, not a good with 2 of the worst losses. So I need to pick it up. But hey, I'm a MAC versus MAC guy. Not just that's why I don't pick every MAC game on the season.
Facts.
But listen, Bowling Green had 4 first team all MAC players. 3 of them have already signed, transferred out, including their star running back Terrion Stewart, signed with Virginia Tech. Obviously, big name Harold Fannin, expected to play. Their stud tight end. That it will be probably a first round pick with how fucking good he is. But outside of that, losing some trenches guys, Arkansas State is not a good team. But I don't think this Bowling Green team, with all of that output being taken away from this bowl game, I don't think they should be over a touchdown favorite. So I'd plug my nose and take Arkansas State here.
Sure. Okay. Moving on to Friday. First game is the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas. We got the Oklahoma Sooners taking on Navy. Oklahoma is a 3-point favorite. Over under is 43. 11 a.m. Central, ESPN on Friday. Do you have a pick or a feel in Oklahoma versus Navy?
Yeah, dude. Give me Navy all day. Oklahoma, all their good wide receivers transferred out. Jackson Arnold transferred out. Blake Horvath should be playing. Obviously, there's going to be very few transfers when you look at service academies. These boys will be ready to play. And how are you going to pick against Navy in the Armed Service Bowl? That's just un-American, if anything. And Oklahoma is, they're just not a bowl team. They're stinky. So don't let it fool you. Navy will win this game. Don't let the overall stature of the programs fool you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna count me as one who is a fool. I'll go with Oklahoma, laying the 3. Games being played in Fort Worth. Oklahoma is very, very aware of the failed expectations of this season, and you're right, they have had a lot of transfers. But I'm going to say Oklahoma has had some time to lick their wounds and, make a statement to close out the season and set a tone for next year. Who's the quarterback that they got coming in? Oh, Mateer, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, baby. Give me the Sooners. They're flipping the page. They're ready to go. This might as well be game 1 of 2025 for these boys. I'll take the Sooners. Lay the 3.
Okay.
Georgia Tech versus Vanderbilt in the Birmingham Bowl, Birmingham, Alabama, 2:30 p.m. Central Time, ESPN. Georgia Tech is a 3-point favorite. Over under is 51.5.
This should be the Spider-Man meme bowl.
Yeah, no kidding.
These are the same exact teams playing each other.
And similar colors.
Similar colors, similar everything. That's why this game is so hard. I just got to take Pavia +3. But I love everything Georgia Tech's done this year. I love taking them as a dog, but they're not the dog here. Pavia getting the news that he'll be coming back, I think will spark the team. They'll fire them up when it comes to any sort of significant opt-outs, transfers. Georgia Tech is losing that battle versus Vandy. Vandy hasn't really lost anyone that won't play. Haynes King confirmed he will play in the bowl. So this should be actually a very good bowl game you should tune into. It seems everyone's pretty healthy. Both teams trending upwards this season. I'll take Vandy +3, but I think this will be one of the better bowl games of the
I
weekend.
I agree with you. I would lean Vanderbilt +3, and I would also lean the under 51.5. I don't know if that's stupid, but Vanderbilt just seems to be pretty good defensive team this year. Offense kind of, I wouldn't say sputtered, but it wasn't as good, let's say, versus Alabama, towards like the end of the season when they were playing ball. So kind of like the under 51.5, lean Vanderbilt. Hey, if they're dogs, I'll take the points. Like you said, Spider-Man meme should be a good one. Texas Tech taking on Arkansas Friday, 6 p.m., the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. We have Arkansas as a 1.5 point favorite, and the over-under is 52.
Yeah, man. Dude, two similar teams in color structure again.
Yeah.
Classic. Just really breaking down the hard-hitting stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously their best receiver on Texas Tech, Micah Hudson, transferred out. They had some significant O-linemen and defensive starters opt out. Morton is going to miss the bowl, Texas Tech's starting quarterback. So freshman who only saw a little bit of action, Will Hammond, is going to start for Texas Tech. Arkansas, on the other hand, quite a long list into the transfer portal already. A few opt-outs, including the running back, Jaquindon Jackson. Listen, I mean, their offensive line has a ton of opt-outs. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the skill positions barely saw a full slate of snaps. So based on that alone, I'm just going to go with Texas Tech based on what's going to be produced on the field.
I like it. Man, this game you were looking forward to, this next one, Friday at 7 p.m. Central. We're talking Syracuse and Washington State. This was going to be Kyle McCord versus John Mateer, two fan favorite quarterbacks on this podcast. However, it is not. That is not the matchup we are getting. And Syracuse is an enormous 16.5 point favorite in this game. The over-under is 59.5. And this is the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, California. Man, no longer played at Qualcomm Stadium. RIP Qualcomm. I think they moved this game to Petco Park where the Padres play a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But last year we saw fireworks in this game, USC Louisville. That was the Miller Moss game where he tossed 6 or 7 touchdowns. But anyway, what do you got? Syracuse, Washington State.
Yeah, man. I said I would bet every single bowl game. I almost want to protest this bowl game, not bet on it, because what could have been if they just fucking eliminate the winter transfer portal window. This would have been my favorite bowl game outside of the playoffs. But man, dude, you got a complete skeleton crew of Washington State playing this game. It's not just Mateer, starting running back, starting wide receiver, starting right tackle, 2 starting cornerbacks, starting linebacker, safety, defensive tackle, and punter even all transferred out for Washington State. That's 10 starters in total that have opted out. Oh, man. We have a Syracuse team that is pretty healthy. Like, they've got no one. So when I look at this number, 59.5, I'm going to take the under, which when I saw this game get announced, we would have been all over the over. But I don't think Syracuse, like, really pours it on them. And I don't think WAZZOU can really score. So getting to 60 is going to take 2. And I don't think these teams got it in them to get to 60.
Yeah, that sounds like good analysis. And would you lean Syracuse minus the points?
I think you have to, only because I'm not sure Washington State. Like, I see this similar to the Tulane Florida game, and also the what game did we just have? UTSA game. Two big favorites, and the other teams were just so beaten up and opted out that they just couldn't produce. But I mean, Syracuse does have a pretty spotty run defense. So if Washington State, the only way they stay in it is controlling the clock. So if they are able to pick up some yards on the ground with some players that will get a chance to prove themselves to make next year's roster, yeah, I'm just going to stay away from that spread because that's how they stay within the number. And 16.5, that's a lot of points, brother. It doesn't matter how many people are out.
Yeah, 100%. Last game on Friday, 9:30 p.m. Central, Texas A&M versus USC. Texas A&M is a 3.5-point favorite. Over-under is 52. This is the Las Vegas Bowl. You got anything in this one?
Man, so everyone and their mama is going to be on Texas A&M, right? Because USC, I mean, shit. We go around another long line, including Quentin Joyner, who joined Texas Tech, but Zachariah Branch, Kyron Hudson, Deuce Robinson, their 3 starting wide receivers. Miller Moss obviously opted out, but he was, not playing anyway. So, dude, this is tough because we're looking at a Texas A&M team that really only lost Wegman, who's really not been playing at all, and starting offensive lineman and guard. So Nick Scorton won't be playing. Neither will Shamar Stewart. So not a lot of pressure coming in on this line. So maybe for the night game, we just ride the over on the players that are out. Last time we saw USC, they were in a shootout with Notre Dame. So maybe that was a little bit of sign we can get some points on the late night game, 51.5.
Love it. And hey, speaking of Miller Moss, going back to USC, I didn't even realize that my call of USC versus Louisville last year. Saw he transferred to Louisville. That's a pretty big get for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think that should be good for them. I think he'll find a new home and fit in well, and Braum should be able to mold him into. He was impressive at times all season, so he's got a really good quarterback archetype. So I think they're going to be a little feisty and a little squirrely next year when we do the pregame show of the season.
Yeah, agreed. I heard it came down to Mizzou and Louisville. That's what I read.
Oh, man. Wow.
Yep. So, interesting. I wonder how Phil feels about that. Moving on to Saturday, we still got a few more games to cover here. UConn, North Carolina. North Carolina laying 3 points. Over-under is 52.5. This feels like a March Madness game or something, but it's not. It's the bowl game. Fenway Bowl, Boston, Massachusetts. You got anything in this game?
Yeah, I mean, technically Bill Belichick's not the head coach for this bowl game. He won't be on the sideline, so don't get your hopes up. Lonnie Galloway, wide receivers coach, is the one scripting plays at practice, but you can bet your ass Belichick's going to have his fingers all over this game, just like UConn is a nice 25-year-old co-ed ready to – no, I'm kidding, Bill. I'm kidding. She's a lovely woman, and you're a lovely man, Bill.
This guy.
But, yeah, I mean, UNC, they've got 5 starters in the transfer portal that won't be playing. Amarian Hampton, obviously their star running back, is in the NFL draft. Same with starting defensive end and D tackle. Versus UConn, who had a very under the radar season for a team that has just been in the cellar for the last decade and a half. So I just think on what UNC is going to put on the field, everyone's going to be on UNC. And give me UConn with the points.
Wow. Very contrarian on brand. I thought you were going to go North Carolina based on your argument. Kind of how I feel about Oklahoma beating Navy. Same vibes. Just a lot of excitement around the program.
Yeah, sharp money coming in on UConn. So, I mean, that's not surprising when whenever I have a lean, it's usually where the sharps follow.
Sure. How about the Pinstripe Bowl? 11, No. Pinstripe Bowl at
Yeah.
11 a.m. Central Time. Yeah, we got Boston College and Nebraska. Nebraska's 3.5-point favorite. Over under is 45.5. What do you got in this one?
Give me Nebraska. I think that my brain's been polluted as a Pick'em fan. Apparently, Rico Bosco's uncle was security for the Pinstripe Bowl for 13 years for security on one specific team, so the home or away team. And he said he was the teams he was security for perfect 0-13 in the bowl. So he said his uncle texted him that he would have been Boston College security. So that stupid analysis is give me Nebraska.
Okay. Yeah. Castellanos obviously not playing in this game. Raiola, I assume he's good to go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's good to go.
I mean, Nebraska closed their season strong. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. They crushed Wisconsin, and then they just gave the game away to Iowa.
Yeah.
Should have won the game, outgained them by 1,000,000 yards, somehow lost the game. I think Nebraska, I'm still going to go back to the well and back this team and say that they're building something moving forward into 2025. So I'll go with Nebraska as well, laying the points. University of Louisiana Lafayette is a 12-point underdog against TCU in the New Mexico Bowl in Albuquerque, and the over-under is 58.5. Do you have a play in this one?
Yeah. Listen, Louisiana, great season, riddled with injuries at the quarterback position to end the season. Got curb stomped by Marshall in the Sun Belt championship game. This is a big number I will be willing to lay with TCU. I just don't think Louisiana will score. I'd also lean the under again, similar to the Syracuse game, just because I don't think TCU is going to get into the high 40s. So I'll take TCU minus 12.5.
Okay. Iowa State takes on Miami at 2:30 p.m. Central on Saturday. This is the Pop-Tarts Bowl in Orlando, Florida.
That's right.
I heard the trophy has a working toaster in the middle of it.
It sure does.
That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. When I heard that, I was like, no fucking way. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. Anyway, Miami is 3.5-point favorites in this one, and the over-under is 55.5. Do you have anything in this one?
Oh, man. I mean, the last time we saw Iowa State play, they just got fucking gashed by explosive play after explosive play. And, I mean, so far, Cam Ward said he would play in this game. And so, obviously, this Miami team is literally built on explosive plays. Restrepo isn't officially opted out, so that's a good sign. If we can get those boys to suit up for at least a half, I like the over in this game. Obviously, when Miami's playing, points are going to be flying because that defense can't stop shit.
Right. Yeah, I hope both of those guys that you mentioned play. That would be very cool to see them on the field. Both teams with disappointing endings to their season, but we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out in the bowl game and who has pride and who wants to win. Man, that was really well said by me. Jeez. Moving on to Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Central Time, we have Miami of Ohio taking on Colorado State. Miami of Ohio is a 2.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 40.5.
Maybe
Arizona Bowl.
Yeah, maybe the ugliest game of the maybe UConn UNC is, but at least that has a basketball element to it. But this might be the ugliest game of the entire bowl season. Listen, Miami has 4 starters out. Colorado State has the same, plus Torrey Horton already got injured earlier in the season. That's Colorado State's stud wide receiver. Whoa, you all right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jesus Christ, man. Fuck. I don't. Do I go back to it? Same number as Northern Illinois. Do I go back to the under 40.5 and get back my MAC? I think I have to, because Miami, their offense is stalled significantly. Gabbert is just not the same, but their defense, they can play. They can play ball. So I'll take the under in this one. PU.
Respect. It's a low number, and you're still saying not enough. Well, not enough. Yeah. And I'm really just out of it today. 4:45 p.m. Central. We got East Carolina against NC State. Puke in my mouth. NC State is 6-point favorites. Over unders 58.5. This is the Military Bowl in Annapolis.
Yeah, interesting not to see any military personnel here.
Right.
ECU turned it around. This is a low key rivalry, in-state rivalry game, so it should have some element. But KC Concepcion, we've talked about him a lot. Obviously, opting out is not good for an NC State offense that never really had a true identity all season. In a game like this, where your best player opts out and you're still laying 6, and there's a bit of pride for the other team, wanting to beat an in-state rival, I'll take ECU with the points, please.
All right. What do you make of the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio? BYU taking on Colorado. It's a Big 12 bowl game showdown. Colorado laying 4. The over-under is 54.5.
Yeah, listen, I just have a feeling that Dion is going to stick to his words. All his guys are going to play. And then first quarter, they switch ends of the field and boom. See ya. NFL draft. It's coming up. You're on the clock, Shador.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to stick to his word to them playing a few snaps, but I truly don't think they're going to play really meaningful snaps in this game late into the fourth quarter. And for that reason, BYU, small transfer portal, not really any names of note that are going to be out. Similar to an academy team where those Mormons out there, they've got pride. So ever since this line came out, I mean, I've been on BYU plus 3.5, and I'm going to stick with that. Just gut feeling. If Colorado, this could be a very prime live betting game, which will be good. 6:30 Central kick. If it looks like the starters are going to play and it's close in that first half, I would live bet Colorado, to be honest.
Yeah, I like your angle in that one. I'll be very interested to see how long Shador and all those guys end up playing. Final game.
I mean, I don't know if you've been following any of the Travis Hunter gossip, but man, that guy can't catch a break online right now. This is his fiance is just getting dumped on by the internet every single day, and there was reports that some video surfaced of her cheating on him 2 years ago. I just feel bad for his headspace. The kid, I mean, he's still like a 20-year-old kid. Leave the fucking guy alone.
100%. I agree. Seems like this dude needs to move on from this chick.
Yeah,
be with someone a little bit more respectful, a little bit more stable.
No shit.
Final game on Saturday, 8 p.m. Central, ESPN, the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. We got Louisiana Tech taking on Army, and in this one, Army is a 16.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 44. Tell me why you're on Army.
Yeah, that's the only play. I mean, Louisiana Tech is dog shit. Army, prideful. They still have a chance to end the season with the most wins in Army history. Could have done that against Navy, but obviously they would like to do that as an end goal. It doesn't mean they have to win by 16.5, but Louisiana Tech won't be able to move the ball. In Louisiana Tech's transfer portal, one of the best names I've ever seen, not just football, Pig Cage. Pig Cage, starting
No way.
safety. Or no, backup safety is in the transfer portal.
No way.
Nice. Yeah. Backup quarterback's out. Listen, the coach said most of the defense will play. That doesn't fucking matter, but I get getting a couple extra weeks to prepare for the triple option offense is good, but until you get in the trenches, like those practice squad players don't have anything to what the physicality of this Army team is going to bring. Their only issue with Army, as we've seen, their starting running back, the boy Kanye Udo, transferred to Arizona State. So, but they'll be able next man up that. As long as Bryson Daly's playing, these boys are going to be getting after it.
Yeah, pissed off after that loss to Navy.
Yep.
Shout out Tremont Williams, LA Tech. December 30th on Monday, we have the Music City Bowl right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is Iowa, Nick Marzano taking on Mizzou, Phil Gainey, Leo, Luke Marzano, Gianna Marzano. Missouri is a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 40.5. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, Brendan Sullivan's playing. That's all I care about for Iowa. Caleb Johnson not playing. That sucks ass. But you counterpoint that. Luther Burden is not playing for Missouri. So two best players in this bowl. That does suck, but at least it kind of cancels each other out. I'd say the next best player is Missouri's Theo Weiss, who's expected to play as of now. But other than that, there's not many opt-outs. We should have a pretty full roster. If Iowa's full defense is going to play, and Missouri's full defense is going to play, which is what it looks like, man, if we end up all going, we could be seeing a bowl game record for punts in this game. We should be on the over punt prop. So I'm on the under in this game, no doubt.
Sounds like a good bet. Yeah, I saw Iowa play Kentucky in the Music City Bowl, I want to say 2 years ago, and I think they would be trying to break that record this upcoming Monday for the game that I saw 2 years ago. Iowa scored 2 touchdowns, I believe, in that game, and I think both were on pick sixes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we might be seeing something along those lines with a little bit better quarterback play. But moving on to the 31st, New Year's Eve, the day before the playoff game. So I guess there is one night playoff game, but we'll get to that. Starting, though, with Alabama taking on Michigan. This was a playoff game last year. It is not this year. Alabama is a 13-point favorite. Over-under is 43.5. 11 a.m. Central, ESPN, the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa, Florida. Who do you got in this one?
I don't know how Michigan's going to field the team. Mason Graham, Colston Loveland, Donovan Edwards, Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson, all opting out. Get Donovan Edwards out of there. Those other 4 names I said are all NFL players and good ones at that. And Milroe says he's going to play. So they lost some wide receivers, but obviously not the big one, Ryan Williams. So this total's so low. I just love Bama just coming out and letting some frustration out. Milroe was a part of that team last year. He got stopped at the goal line on that horrific play call. I think he'll have some pride to want to beat the shit out of this team, even if it doesn't have the same meaning. I like Alabama team total over in this game.
Yeah, you make a good case for Bama. I would tend to agree. Lay the points with Bama, and I know you like the team total over. Louisville taking on Washington. This is the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas at 1 p.m. Central on CBS. We got Louisville is a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 49.5. Do you have a play in this one?
This is an interesting game. Kind of a weird matchup, the way Washington kind of played out this season. Louisville without their starting quarterback, Tyler Shaw. I've got some starters in the transfer portal. And then when it comes to Washington, just starting left tackle that's out. Man, I think with Will Rogers, he got benched in the finale, and Damon Williams is going to start the bowl game. That concerns me a little bit. I think Louisville is very talented running the ball. Listen, I don't. This is a head scratcher, man. I'll take Louisville -2.
Me too. I'll take Louisville minus the points. I like the way the defense came on at the end of the year. They had a tough game against Stanford late in the season, but then they bounced back with a massive win against Pitt, I want to say, and then they closed out the season obliterating Kentucky. And like you mentioned, their ground game, I think they ran for like 400 yards in that game. So I like Shaw. He's a good quarterback, but I feel like Louisville will still find a way to cover the number against this Washington team that was just pretty underwhelming throughout the year. South Carolina taking on the Fighting Illini of Illinois. South Carolina is a 9-point favorite. The over-under is 48. This is 2 p.m. Central Time, ABC, the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. Do you have a thought in this one?
I mean, everyone and their mama is going to be on South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, for good measure, not many people have opted out on either side of this game. Raheem Sanders declared for the draft, so he's most likely not going to play in this game. Rocket Sanders, who's absolute stud at running back for South Carolina. But everyone else should be good to go. With that being said, just back to contrarian. If I can get 10 for Illinois, I think that they keep it within that number. Just to be, I know it's 9.5. I'll probably just buy that extra hook, and this should be a good bowl game as well, from what it seems like.
Yeah, I feel like South Carolina is a little bit better, but overall agree 10 would be a lot. Especially if both teams are playing most of their guys. I like it.
And, if Ohio State does that to a 2-loss team, I can't imagine what our 5th best Big Ten team does to a 3-loss SEC team.
No kidding. SEC stinks. Michigan money line.
Yeah, yuck. Let's not go too far, Mayor.
Right. Final game as far as bowl games are concerned on Tuesday, New Year's Eve, 2:30 p.m. Central, ESPN. This is the Texas Bowl in Houston, Texas. We got Baylor taking on LSU, and Baylor is a 1.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 59.5.
Yeah, man. What do we do here? Baylor, pretty strong with no transfer portals, really. They are going to have a pretty sturdy roster coming into this game. LSU, obviously, Nussmeier announced he's coming back, but starting wide receiver CJ Daniels is gone. Starting safety Sage Ryan's gone. Potentially, my cousin Major Burns is opting out of this bowl, and some other key defensive players for LSU. With that being said, with that much defense opting out for LSU, I think this will be a solid little palate cleanser, or a little palate appetizer, I should say, for the playoff game that's going to be this evening of the 31st. I like the over 59.5. Let's get some points.
Me too. Sawyer Robertson, is he playing?
He is. Yes, he's not on the list. Only DeQuan Finn opted out or transferred out, but that's not shocking.
I like that Sawyer Robertson's playing. He's a good quarterback. Did you say Nussmeier is playing?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, love the over. Okay, well, that was a lot. I appreciate your contributions. You did you clearly did a pretty good amount of research on those games, whereas I was like, fuck that. I'm not looking into these bowl games until the day of. So many transfers and opt-outs and just nonsense. So props to you. No, that takes a little bit of time. All right. Shall we get into these playoff games?
You know what, Alex? That sounds great. Let's do it.
All right. So the moment we've all been waiting for. Here we go. Round 2 of the college football playoffs, starting with the Penn State Nittany Lions against the Boise State Broncos. 6:30 p.m. Central Time on New Year's Eve. We have Penn State as an 11-point favorite, and the over-under is 52 in this game. This game is being played in Tempe, Arizona. Burns, I believe you said when you filled out your bracket initially, did you have Boise State beating Penn State?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yep, I sure did.
And how are you feeling about that now?
I feel good. I think that, like we talked about, I think, SMU just really did not execute where they needed to. I mean, you got to give Penn State credit. There's been some one thing I have seen improved from good teams in college football this year is red zone defense. And so at the end of the day, they stopped them just like Ohio State with Penn State. Penn State got to the red zone 4 times, came out with 7 points in that game. If you keep that mentality of just, keep the ball in front of you, just don't let it cross the goal line, good things can happen. However, when I looked at this Boise State team, they're 20th in the nation in turnover margin and number 1 in the country in giveaways per game. So in the positive form. So they do not give the ball away. And listen, we obviously know it's going to go through Genty, and Penn State is built to, they've kept the run in front of them, but SMU kind of, if they kept their foot on the gas, what they were doing very good in that game was up tempo. There were some procedure penalties that were frustrating as well that really set them behind the chains. But when they were moving up tempo, they were moving the ball on the ground. They were doing a good job. And if Boise State can take that one takeaway from this game, they're not going to turn the ball over. They can move the ball outside of Genty with Madsen. They're going to be able to keep this game close. I have no idea how it's 11. Boise State, maybe we tread a little more cautiously from what we saw in round 1. Not going to put an Indiana money line on the card again. So I'll take Boise State with the points, and we'll sit there.
Absolutely. I will be on the other side after what I saw from Penn State against SMU. Offensively, not great. Not even good. However, I think that's a coach's dream. You come away with a win with a lot to improve and a lot to work on. I felt like the weather conditions definitely played, affected Penn State a little bit. I'm not saying that as an excuse, but I do think it affected them a little bit. And I think playing in Arizona will greatly help out their offense just in terms of execution and overall efficiency. Defensively, Penn State gave up 45 to Oregon, and then they came out against SMU and, for the most part, shut them down. So I like what I'm seeing from this Penn State team on both sides of the ball right now. And after round 1, I guess this is our big test, right? Does Boise State truly belong? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Penn State comes out and makes a statement and beats this Boise State team by 14 or more. So
Wow.
I'll lay it with Penn State, and we'll find out a lot on Tuesday night.
Yep, sure will. I just think this game also, Fiesta Bowl, where did Boise really put their name in the forefront of the country? Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. all those years ago, almost 20 years ago now.
Damn. Damn. Who was the quarterback for Oklahoma in that game? Was it Sam Bradford?
In 2005? I don't know.
Yeah, sheesh. I don't know either.
Okay. Look at what's the next game? I'll find that stat for you.
Next game is on New Year's Day as we welcome 2025, 12 p.m. Central in Atlanta, Georgia, Texas versus Arizona State. Texas is saying, thank God we don't have to play Georgia and Atlanta this time around. Texas is a 13.5-point favorite against Arizona State, and the over-under is 51.5. Burns, I'll start with you.
First of all, Paul Thompson was the quarterback. Who? But there was a young man in the backfield wearing 28, Adrian Peterson, in that game.
All right.
Also, I mean, UNLV was also 6-1 in that. I mean, this is all starting to kind of history repeats itself. Anyway, we're off that game. We're on to the other big spread game. Listen, talked about it on the front of the show. If Texas shows up like they did at home, and Cam Scatabo is coming in fully healthy, this game is nowhere close to Texas minus 13.5. The only problem is when you look at that bet, if you're taking ASU in the points, is if Texas does, fix their errors in stopping the run. I don't think Leavitt has what it takes against a superior defense like Texas, and those safeties, are some studs back there with Thorpe Award winner. What's that kid's name? Anyway, yeah, they have the Thorpe Award winner, best DB in the country, and that's could get ugly quick. That's my only concern about taking ASU in the points, is if they have to go through the air, watch out, because Texas will buckle it down. I like my favorite play in this. I like the over. In these big, games where they're in the dome, I think Arizona State moves with a pace that they'll be able to get some points. And instead of picking a side, I'll take over 52.
Okay. Yeah, I would tend to lean that direction as well. As far as the game goes, if you guys can tell, look, I'm pissed off from last week. I'm not doing this again. I'm laying the points with Texas. I felt like last week was probably the hardest test mentally for the Longhorns, just to get past that one. After losing in the SEC championship game, you have a few weeks to prepare for Clemson. You have Klubnik returning to his home city of Austin. You're going up against Dabo Swinney. It's not like Clemson was like Indiana, like a team that's never been there. They had a lot of history and legacy behind their name, and you're at home and you kind of feel that pressure, and you go down 7-0 to start the game, and you're like, oh my God, like not the start we envisioned here. And then they bounced back and, got it together and, ended up winning fairly comfortably. So I think that was their hardest test mentally. I'm not saying they won't play harder teams down the road here, but I think winning that game probably loosened them up a bit, allows them just to feel a little bit more free, a little bit more confident. I think it's going to be big for them. And they get to return to Atlanta, where they lost to Georgia just a few weeks ago in that SEC championship game. I think they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. Granted, it's not against the same team, but it is the same location. And unfortunately for Arizona State, I think they're going to be the recipients of that. So I'll lay it with Texas, comfortable laying it with Texas. And we'll see if Arizona State, proves someone like me wrong and says, look, you can't just discount us that quickly just because we're Arizona State. So we'll find out, right? But for the time being, I'm happy to be on Texas and lay those points.
Did you want to thank Phil as well for that Texas win?
What was he saying? Just some goofy stuff.
As soon as Clemson scored, he goes, Plus 13.5. That was way too easy. Too many points. That's a clown. I think he said that's a clown line. And Texas scores 21 straight to really get that clown line in play.
Well,
Also,
thanks, Phil.
Yeah. Immediately he's just like, fuck. I mean, when do these kids ever learn, man? When do they learn? Just like the kid that scored the Clemson touchdown. By the way, Steph, the one bad thing he did at the Olympics, all eyes on him, the fucking go to sleep celebration. The kid from Clemson did that on the first touchdown of the game. It's like, hey, buddy, we got 50 minutes of ball left, pal.
Yeah, I think some of these kids just play have played enough NCAA 25 where they're just learning all the celebrations and then they're just replicating them.
I mean, hey, we'll never endorse what the guy did. I mean, it was terrible. Aaron Hernandez did have one of the best celebrations, break into the safe and throw the money in the air. That's what these kids
crazy.
Need to get back to.
Huh. I saw Benedict Mathurin of the Indiana Pacers dabbed a couple weeks ago, but his dab, dude, was like the lame dab, like the grandma dab. Like if you're gonna dab, you need to do it like how Cam did. Like you got to wind that shit up and boom, hit him with it.
Yeah, you tell him. You should be the CCO, Chief Celebration Officer, Alex Mayer.
Brother, when it comes to the dab, I feel passionate about it. And if you're listening to this, go on YouTube and look up Cam Newton dab highlights and watch the video. You won't be disappointed. I'll say that. You won't be disappointed.
Jesus.
All right. Next game, your game. The Ohio State Buckeyes taking on Oregon, Pasadena, California, Rose Bowl. Huge game, huge matchup. Ohio State is a 2-point favorite, and the over-under is 55.
Yeah. Man. I think what I saw on the field, Dan Lanning, I said this in the season, and this is what I was hoping for, was an Ohio State team that could click on all cylinders. They have the best talent in the entire country. And Dan Lanning just shot in his pants too early. He pulled out all his tricks too early. I rewatched the extended highlights of the game last night. And that defensive product that Ohio State had out in Eugene versus what we just saw in the first round of the playoffs is light years better. Light years better. And Dylan Gabriel against that good defense is going to have trouble. And what we saw in the Big Ten championship is a very pedestrian Penn State offense do whatever they wanted with Oregon's defense. So that was a little stunning, to be honest. So the last time we saw Oregon versus the last time we saw Ohio State are in two completely different positions. I'm not going to predict a 25-point win. However, I do think Ohio State is up 2 scores in the fourth. Maybe Oregon makes it a 1-score game, but this line is already up to 2.5. It opened at 1. You'd be a fool if you didn't get it below a field goal. Ohio State is going to win this game, and I think it's going to look easier than most people would want it to.
Based on what I saw Saturday night with Ohio State dismantling Tennessee, that's how I feel as well. Ohio State played just a great game of football, and Will Howard looked good. The running backs looked good. The defense looked good. Jeremiah Smith was absolutely unstoppable. And Ohio State's playing with all the momentum and all of the confidence going into this game, whereas Oregon is a parked bus, and now you got to warm that bus up, and you gotta get it going. And yeah, of course there's a chance that they do, and of course there's a chance that they win. This is Oregon, it's a great team, and Ohio State's right there with them. But I gotta go with the team that just played and is a little bit it's got some momentum behind him right now, which I feel like is more the Buckeyes. And don't forget, Oregon beat Ohio State, as Burns mentioned earlier in the season. So if you're looking for a team with a little bit more motivation, if they could just even manufacture a little chip on their shoulder here, it would be the Buckeyes, because they lost to Oregon earlier in the year. So I'm inclined to lean and go with Ohio State as well. I don't know if you know the answer to this. You don't need to make it up if you don't. I guess my question for you is, do you know if Oregon has like a stud corner that can follow Jeremiah Smith? I guess I'm just curious what their plan is for him, because like if you can like neutralize him and take him out, limit him per se, not take him out, but limit him. I think that's got to be their game plan going into this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine because, I mean, obviously he is straw that stirs the drink, but Ibuka and Tate are 5-star receivers, both going to be in the NFL. It's like, take him. That's the problem with Ohio State actually running their offense like they should have. That, I mean, finally Chip Kelly puts his nuts on the table versus Tennessee. And like, that is this offense, is that they overwhelm you with talent. And it doesn't matter if you take one wide receiver away. That's why you can't double these wide receivers, because, a big play down the field by Ibuka, as we saw in Tennessee. It's just like they had like a linebacker on him. It's like you're going to get burnt every time. They're not focused on Jeremiah Smith, as in I mean Will Howard. And I think, having senior leadership like Will Howard, Denzel Burke, all these guys that came back, and they're just older, they're grown men, and felt embarrassed by that Oregon performance. I mean, we were all on the under in that game. It was 22-21 at half. So it leads me to believe second half, that's literally 10-10 second half. Leads me to believe that this game will be more of the second half versus what we saw in the first half of the last time these two teams met. And I just think these aren't amateur players anymore. These are professionals. And when you get embarrassed on the playing field, you remember that shit. And if you have a chance to avenge that in the season, I think we're going to see a different breed. And that's why I like Ohio State. I would take them up to 5.5 for sure.
All right. Yeah, I think Ohio State in this one starts strong. I think they come out and make a statement. I think they're winning at halftime. I think if Oregon is going to win this game, it's going to end up being in the second half, where all of a sudden they're making a couple stops and they figure it out on offense. But overall, final prediction, I got the Buckeyes 28-24. I think Oregon is going to have a chance to win it at the end with the ball, but I think Ohio State's defense will make a stand, and 28-24 is going to be the final. Final game of the college football playoff for this weekend, or this week, is Notre Dame taking on Georgia in New Orleans. This is 7:45 p.m. Central Time, ESPN, and Georgia is a 2-point favorite, and the over-under is 44. Sounds like you are going with Georgia in this one, Burns.
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention about Texas, also the other wolf in the sheep's clothing, that Clemson win was their first ranked win of the season against the top 25. Notre Dame as well. Texas A&M fell off. They didn't beat anyone all season. Army, I guess, is their only ranked win. And then Indiana just happened. If they need to throw this ball, this will get ugly quick. And if you're only going to lay 1 point with Georgia, this is my lock. Put it in the safe. Lock that shit away. This is Georgia in a rout in New Orleans. Georgia moves faster on the felt, and that defense is going to be buzzing. I think we're looking at a Tua situation versus a Jordan Travis situation, where you got Gunner coming in, probably looks better than what Carson Beck could have provided. 44 is a little funky to me, so I'm just going to take Georgia -1.5, and that's all you need to know. Take it to the bank. have a nice start to your new year. Back-to-back easy money line plays.
So why do you think Georgia is just such an easy winner? It seems like you're not concerned about Georgia playing a backup quarterback, starting a backup quarterback.
No, I really don't. I think their defense has gone under the radar all season. One of the best pass defenses. So if they're forcing Notre Dame to throw the ball, because they're obviously going to look to keep everything in front of them, they allow 3.7 yards per carry, which is going to keep Notre Dame behind the line. They have an even turnover margin, and they don't get many penalties. Georgia doesn't. Notre Dame's penalized just a little bit more. So when it comes to those small things, it's all three phases of the game. I just think Georgia is going to be more physical. They've been here before, and if history's taught us anything, it's when Notre Dame walks in to a superior opponent that plays big boy football, they get ran out of the fucking field because they don't see that their entire season. And when you see it for the first time when it matters, you're already down and the refs are already counting to 10 before you can even fucking smell the salt to try and get back up.
Sure. I hear what you're saying, and I respect that you're on Georgia. I just see it differently. I like Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame wins this game. Georgia's offense, fairly underwhelming in my opinion all year long. You can make the argument that going to this new quarterback is better for them than playing Carson Beck in this game. You could make that argument. I'm not saying that that's what I'm advocating for, but that is an argument to be made. Overall, though, I've been fairly underwhelmed with Georgia's offense this season. Notre Dame, I hear what you're saying, dude. I really do. In terms of this Notre Dame team, not this team, but Notre Dame over the last 15 years, whenever they have to step up in class and play one of these games, it feels like they get their doors blown off. I feel like there's a couple times they played Alabama where this happened, or they played Clemson in the past and it happened, where they just were uncompetitive and didn't belong. I feel differently about this Notre Dame team. And you could say to me, well, Mayor, then why did you pick Indiana last week? And you know what? I don't have an answer for you. I think I was under a spell last weekend, Burns. I think I was so entranced with college football playoff and just the excitement of potential drama that I honestly just wasn't seeing things clearly. And I liked Notre Dame all season long. I have all season long. That hasn't changed. Back to this game. I think Notre Dame is for real. I do. That's really just what it comes down to. Do you think if you think they're frauds, I think Georgia's the play. If you think they're for real, I think they absolutely got a shot. And I think this team is for real. I think they can match Georgia's physicality. I'm not concerned about that. I think they will. I think they'll prove it on the field. Defensively, everything you're saying is correct about Georgia. Physical, good defense. They were hitting Texas hard in that SEC championship game. Still feel like Georgia has kind of had a what do you call it? A shamrock up their ass kind of all year long. Georgia Tech, very, very, very lucky to win that game. Texas in the SEC championship game. Hard for me to say lucky, but it was kind of clear that Texas was the better team, at least in my eyes watching that game. I don't believe in this Georgia team. I just don't think they have it this year. So I do think Notre Dame does, though. So that's my counter argument. I'm going with ND. I would probably lean the under in this game because I do think both teams' defenses can ball out. So that's how I see it, and I'll be on ND.
Okay, I'm going to clip that because I think you just spelled yourself again. All right, take everything out of it. Take these two teams out of it, like the players themselves. Just look at the teams. And, I know we've expanded, but, Texas isn't a true SEC blue blood, just like we wouldn't say Oregon's a true Big Ten. But you're telling me that the Final Four will be without a true SEC blue blood and Georgia will not be making a run to the title? It's like, when you just think about it, when you take a step back and you're like, when Georgia's up 17-0 early in the second quarter, you're like, how do I have a Notre Dame money line bet? Is what you're gonna. That's what you're gonna say.
Maybe you're right, dude. Maybe you're the one that has,
And this is coming from a guy that has a 18-1 on Notre Dame to win the national title.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they have a bad draw. I think, man, if they would have got up to that 6th seed and faced Georgia maybe after 2 wins under their belt, who knows? But I truly don't think Indiana was a good warm-up to what they're about to see in that dome, where Georgia has been under these lights far more in recent history, and I just don't trust Freeman in big games like this. That's what it comes down to.
Sure. Yeah, you and I just see it differently. That's really what it comes down to, and we'll find out on Wednesday night. But great game, at least on paper, I think. Super excited to watch all of these games, but especially the final 2 here: Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame.
Also, side note for this year, what the fuck? You're telling me 2-day work week, Thursday? Like, you got to watch these games and go to work on Thursday? Come on.
Right?
Come on,
Right?
scheduling.
Right?
Make these fucking January at least 2nd, one on Thursday, and then other 3 on Friday night. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I mean, the national championship game has been played on Monday for years, and it still continues to be that way. And I have no idea why, Burns.
This year, I think it's on Martin Luther King Day at least. So
get all day to prepare for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, great pod. We'll get into our bets and cards and stuff like that. But yeah, great recap in these games. Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, so just want to go over the cards, and we're going to give one more chance, Mayor. We're going to give ourselves, this time it's going to be different, and this time we're going to improve our odds to try and, that's how they say responsible gambling is, right? Add another leg to get all the money back in one fell swoop. So Clearly we've been fucking up by going 6 teams. So in this case, we're going 7-team teaser to pay out plus 800.
Okay. Are we doing bowl games plus playoffs or just playoffs or what?
No, we got to go bowl games as well. So we'll do any bowl game from that week leading up. So 28th and on through
All right.
So you pick your favorite games that stick out to you. I'll pick mine. I think Army down to -10 is an easy play. I think we got to do that.
Fine. Bama. Let's tease Bama.
Okay, to -6. Is it? What's it currently at?
It's 13.
All right. So yeah, 6.5. Bama -6.5. Another game. I would take. Let's see here. Are we comfortable with going the Baylor LSU over tease down?
Sure. That's fine with me.
I think we both really liked that game. Whoa. Spazzing. And then, okay, so that's 3. So let's do all of the playoff games, and that'll get us 7. So you like Penn State, I like Boise State. No, this is what fucked us on the last teaser.
Right.
Is when we were against each other. I'm good. Good with the under.
Yeah, me too.
This is what fucked us when we were both on different sides. We both liked the under. Clemson and Ohio State, Tennessee.
That Penn State defense is not going to be giving up 30 to Boise State. And they give up 30 to Boise, but I don't think they are.
You wouldn't want 17.5 on Boise?
No, I don't.
Oh, my God. Man. All right, fine. It's under 58. Okay. And then for Texas, Arizona State, we can't get plus 20.5 for Arizona State? You wouldn't take that?
Shit. No. No.
Can we go over then?
Sure.
Okay. At least we got that. Texas, ASU, over 45. Come on. 24-21 gets us a push. And you don't even think that'll cover. So Texas, 34. Arizona State, 17. Ohio State, Oregon. I mean, I would take Ohio State with more than a field goal.
Yeah, me too.
So Ohio State, they're getting plus 4. That's good. And then Notre Dame, Georgia. Guess we're going under for our final one, huh?
Guess so. This is the winner. You know, no one said it was going to be easy.
Yeah, that's true. Under 51. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This final will be Georgia 27, Notre Dame 6.
This guy.
All right. So Army minus 10, Bama minus 6.5, Baylor, LSU over 53, Boise State, Penn State under 58, Texas, Arizona State over 45, Ohio State plus 4, Notre Dame, Georgia under 51. And that is our last teaser of the season. That's going to roll into a prosperous 2025 for us.
I hope so. And we'll have some games on, during 2025 to watch and this teaser. But I hope you're right. It would be a great way to end the season and end it on a high note. What else?
Do you have any parlays or anything put together?
No, I got nothing as far as a card goes. Nothing at all.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. So for me, I'm going to be parlaying Georgia and Ohio State. Just a small parlay. I might alt line both of them to like minus 5.5 to make it a little juicier. But stay tuned for that. And maybe I'll put together something on Saturday as well. But as of now, no parlays.
Cool.
Do you have a lock?
Penn State.
You're such a dirty dog. All right. Well, I did come ready to play. As you know, I'll be betting every single bowl game. It's going decently well so far, but thanks to the Buckeyes. Obviously, we're going to turn the page here. So we are on San Jose State still, but the game will already be played. So without Nick Nash, we don't have a choice. I'll probably add the over to my card if we're being honest tonight. Pitt team total over. Rutgers plus 6.5, Arkansas plus 7.5, Navy minus 2.5, Vanderbilt plus 3, Texas Tech money line, Syracuse WAZZOU under 59.5, USC TAMU over 51.5, UCONN plus 3, Nebraska minus 2, TCU minus 12.5, Miami versus Iowa State over 55.5, Miami of Ohio versus Colorado State under 40.5, ECU plus 6, BYU plus 3.5. Army minus 16.5. Iowa, Missouri under 40.5. Bama team total over. Louisville minus 2. Illinois plus 10. Baylor LSU is over 59.5. Boise plus 11. Sorry, fading your lock. Texas, Arizona State over 52. Ohio State minus 2. And Georgia is my lock. Give me the Georgia Dogs money line for 3 units this week.
Ooh.
And that's it.
That is it. I'll get you my picks here today or tomorrow. As far as bowl and playoffs go, as far as the playoff games go, I think you guys know I like Penn State, I like Texas, I like Ohio State, and I like Notre Dame. Those are my 4 winners. Great pod though. Anything you want to close out with here?
Nope. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thanks for giving us a listen. Enjoy the games.
Merry Christmas. Love you.